Hi, welcome to Turn-Based Besties, a podcast where two grown adults with no free time talk about their favorite RPGs of yesteryear, tomorrow, and sometimes today. I'm DJ, a lifelong, casual, and often persnickety gamer who loves retro RPGs, and I'm really trying to get into newer RPGs.
And I'm Sam. I'm a mid-30s father of soon to be three who picked up gaming as an adult. Dabbled a little growing up, but RPGs and longer form games definitely started that as an adult. But I've grown to absolutely love it, and it's a major pastime and hobby of mine now.
Yay! 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 So this is our first episode, episode one. Um,
Episode one.
So, what will this podcast be about? We'll quickly go over what we're going to talk about. Don't worry, it will not be a dissertation. We're going to just talk about different types of games in future episodes. We might just do some stuff over only old school or only retro, which would be in my wheelhouse. We might talk about just an obscure game. We're obviously going to talk about like the AAA big budget titles at some point, which Sam, I think will be more in your specialty than me.
I would say so. Yeah, the big budget RPGs, the more modern ones, the remasters of older ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's more my wheelhouse. The more less story, more battle system, more difficult, potentially. Yeah, that's more
yeah.
my wheelhouse. Yeah.
We'll have that nice intersection of remasters because it's a brand new game that's an old game, so it'll be nice when we'll both get to like
There's
blab
both
about
of us.
that,
And we will
right?
be talking about that later this episode.
Well,
Something specifically that.
the irony is not lost on me that we are called turn-based besties, and the first game we're kind of going to talk about is actually not a turn-based game.
That is, yeah, exactly.
But it's a the heart of JRPGs, so it counts. And if you don't like it, that's okay. We'll also sometimes rank games, and I don't know if we become cooler, we'll talk about news and rumors of upcoming games and remakes and remasters. And then all the games we played and finished, or in my case, probably didn't finish, in this past year of 2023.
Very good. Yeah. Do we want to talk a little bit more about our backgrounds being at episode one, and how, our gaming story to this point?
Yeah, do you want to go first?
Sure. Um, so yeah, as I mentioned, definitely got into gaming more as an adult, an odd time to do so, some may say. Growing up, I played a decent number of games. I'd play uh, Super Smash Bros, Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Halo, all those kind of uh, multiplayer games that all my friends would play. I might pick up a Zelda game. I might start a Resident Evil game, but after I got lost the very first time, I would put it down and put it down forever. So then, about 5 years ago, I had my first kid, and just before we had her, I got a Switch. It seemed fun, and I was excited about it. And I can even remember the night that we went to the hospital. I was laying there playing Switch, staying up later than I should, and we had to rush to the hospital, and I didn't get enough sleep before that started. That was not a smart call. But since that time, even when I would have the kids sleeping on me, I'd be playing something. And so it's just been a hobby of mine since. And I've really fallen in love with some of the longer RPGs and those kind of games. I'll still play the racing games and the competitive games here and there, but most of my hours I'm dumping into the longer RPGs, and it's been fantastic.
Woo! And as someone who is a uh, definitely not a hardcore gamer, but maybe a little bit more than a casual RPGer, I love it when other people enjoy something that I enjoy. So it makes my heart feel all warm. So when you texted me about your first kind of big RPG you were playing, you actually played it before I did because you had a Switch before I did. And you inspired me to go out the next week and get a Switch and get this particular game. So, what was the first game that turned you on to RPGs?
I think it's got to be. I mean, this is going to just point out how recent and modern my story has been, but it was probably Octopath Traveler 1, the first one. I put 100+ hours into that game. And I just loved it, you know. It was obviously a callback to older games in some ways with the sprites and the turn-based battling and random battles and all that stuff. But also more modernized with the 2D, 3D graphics and all of that. But it was so fantastic. The battle system was great and the music and everything. So really, really hooked me there. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was super fun. As someone who I lean more toward like retro RPGs when I get the chance to, but I feel kind of embarrassed, that I'm playing these like Super Nintendo emulated games on my computer in 2023. But when Octopath
That's
came
you.
out,
That's
right?
good.
That's just me. But when Octopath came out, it made me feel seen, Sam. Oh, it is, but it made me feel like, oh, it's okay to like these old games, or in this case, a new game that was dressed up to look old. And Octopath certainly wasn't the first game to have a retro style, but I think it actually was the first game to have that. Is it 2D HD is what we call it?
Yeah, there's different ways they refer to it, but yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was one of the first like big companies to put out a brand new, not a remake, not a remaster, but to put out a brand new retro game in, what is it, 2018, 2017, 2018 when it came out?
I probably say 17.
Oh,
Yeah. And I think what they found though is there's more and more of an appetite for that, right? And that's why I think it was decently successful. And then um the newer one was even more, well, I think they've both been pretty successful. Let's see. It says it came out in 2018, actually. So July 2018.
cool, cool,
So you
cool.
were right. Yeah. Anyway, but it's yeah, yeah. So I guess we could point out some slight differences in our gaming preferences. You've hinted to it, I've hinted to it. I would say that yeah, while we both like turn-based games and RPGs and those kind of things, I probably leaned a little bit more into the battle systems and it being a little grittier and maybe more difficult and care less about the stories, some about the stories, just less about the stories. And I want that challenge and the systems to be very intricate. And when I get hooked on something, I'm gonna finish it. I want to go all the way to the end. So, those 100 hours in Octopath was because of a lot of that at the end. There's a kind of a super dungeon at the end, and so I can remember spending days on the final boss trying to make sure I could beat them, and I was going to beat them, and
I actually
so
remember you texting me all, I think, 4 days it took you to do
yeah,
it,
something like that.
getting an update, which always made me smile. Yay, it never annoyed me.
And I think I sent a text when I probably should have just discussed it with you at some point, outlining my entire strategy for how I bested the final boss, which was text was the wrong format for how long that message was,
Maybe it
but
should have
it's
been a
okay.
voice memo or a small novel. Um,
And then, so yeah, that's kind of where my tastes lie. And then I'd say you've hinted to it, but you're a little bit different in that.
I'm different, Sam. Thanks. No, I like the older games, but like Final Fantasy VI and Earthbound, of course those like classics. But I like newer games. I don't know if we'd call them AAA. Maybe we'd call them double A games instead. Like the Star Ocean, The Divine Force, or you and I both played Fire Emblem Three Houses, basically
That's
together.
definitely AAA.
Yeah, that's a triple A. You're right. So I do like new games, but the story has to hook me. It has to feel like I'm reading or listening to a book if there's a lot of voice acting. It has to be an engaging battle system, but I have no problem putting everything on easy difficulty and coasting my way to the end so I can get to like the end of a story. And if there is post game content, I say thank you so much for making that. I'm not interested. Uh, I'll let my friend Sam do that instead.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and that's a little hint towards what we'll talk about later on as well. And I think it when you mentioned Three Houses, it outlines this kind of perfectly because I just started Fire Emblem Engage, which is I believe that it's thought to be, or my understanding, I'm only about 5 hours in, but much less story heavy, much less social interaction heavy than Three Houses was. And you were into Three Houses. We were both into Three Houses.
Yeah.
But this one is much more focused on the gameplay and the battling, and I'm pretty into it right now, regardless of if it's lacking in story and social interactions and those kind of things.
And it looks really
Um,
pretty. And the battle system
Much
seems.
better than Three Houses.
Yeah, the battle system seemed. I played a couple hours of it, and it seemed similar. A grid-based strategy RPG. I hear that it's more similar to other Fire Emblems that's not Three Houses.
That's what I was hearing too. Yeah, they kind of Three Houses was the straying away from the formula, and then this is kind of getting back to the formula. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
far, it's good. It's good.
yeah, because Three Houses had all like the social sim stuff, which despite one of my favorite games, yeah, I'm not a huge like lover of the social sim or like the dating sim part in some RPGs. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later, maybe a different episode.
And speaking of difficulty levels, there's like a regular, hard, and a maddening for Fire Emblem Engage. I think it was the same levels for Three Houses,
Yeah.
and so I'm doing it on hard because maddening seems too tough to start. But I don't know, just the regular. That feels like the easy mode if it's the lowest one, and so I had to do. I played enough strategy RPGs that I felt like I should do it. However, I'm also playing it on classic, so if anybody dies, they dead.
Nope.
And so then I
Uh,
have to restart the whole battle. So it's going to take me the upper, if you look at how long it's going to take to beat a game, I think I'm going to be on the upper end because I can't lose somebody. That's a failure. So I'm going to have to go back and get them and repeat it. And I've already had to repeat one a couple times.
how you could also not lose somebody is like don't play it on classic.
It's classic. It's the way it's supposed to be done. I think it hurts that much. Oh, it hurts so bad when they die and it makes a different sound and then it's like slow motion as they fall to the ground and reverb echo on their voices. It's the last time you hear them. However, it's nice. They've got a rewind function too, which makes it
Oh,
easier.
that's nice.
Yeah, so I can just kind of rewind there. But you know how it goes. It's pretty hard hitting too, Somebody if you happen to just get critted or you're out of position and your your unit type is mismatched, you're donezo.
You're
So,
toast.
anyway, but not to get too far off topic.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's our first episode. It can be any topic we want it to be.
We can do whatever we want.
So, the topic of this first episode is both of us discussing what I would say is it's my top RPG of 2023. It's number one for me, man. But for
It's way
you,
up there for me. It's great.
yeah, it's like top three for you, I bet, probably.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you wanna start since this is like my literally one of my all-time favorite JRPGs of my life? I'll actually let you start with it.
Okay. So, I mean, the nice thing, maybe it's not turn-based, it's an action RPG, but I think it outlines a lot of what we've been talking about. Grew up playing this game, you've played through it multiple times. Now there's a remake.
Mhm.
And I had never played it before. So the game we're talking about is Star Ocean Second Story R. Um, and it's great. So wait, is it remake, remaster? It's a remake.
It's a remake. It is a total.
Yeah, there's enough difference that it's a remake. That's how you say that?
Yeah. Oh my God, everything was outside of the sprites that they used and keeping the story and keeping the voice acting from the 2009 PSP remaster. It's a remake, baby.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's what I thought. So It is fantastic. My only experience with Star Ocean before this is I did start First Departure, the first of the series, since I got it on sale through the Nintendo Switch eShop. And to be honest, that one was hard for me to get into. And so I put it down after a little bit. I think your tip to me was save your patience with this type of game and just put it all into the second story R when it comes out. And that's what I did, and I'm so happy I did that. So, this is it's just a fantastic game. So it's just fun. I think one of the main things is it's just fun. So the battling is fun, the music's great, the visuals are beautiful. It's kind of that 2D HD as well, but a little bit more 3D. You have a little bit more 3D than the Octopath might be, but it's just a blast. So I don't think I'd played quite an action RPG like this before. I had never played the Tales series or the Ease games. Those are definitely on my list to play. But I think those would be maybe a little bit more similar to the action RPG style of Star Ocean. But it's just really, immersive there too. So what did I say about it? I guess I'll just give uh, main points here. I'd say my favorite parts of it, I do think that the skill system and the specialties and the super specialties and the skill points is rather unique to this
Mhm.
and is pretty fun and is really fun. And just battling and exploring and looking around and getting SP and BP and all these things, and then just dumping it into different skills was probably one of my favorite parts. I know that sounds a little lame probably, but just looking at how customizable every character could be, because you could put skill points and BP into so many different categories and really, make them what you wanted to make them. I thought that was probably more fun than I should have had, just watching numbers go up and levels go up. But it
Oh,
was great. And then
so
they really
gratifying.
were. What'd you say?
It's so gratifying, though.
It was so gratifying. And that's, yeah, gratifying and fun. Gratifying too. And a lot of games, it bugs me if you do things for no reason. That's not this game. You do things, especially with the all the missions. What is it? Guild missions and something other quests, is you can every little thing you do, you can then go into the menu and you get SP, BP, items, whatever for what you were doing. It's so gratifying. And then you dump those back into the skills and power and utilize that. And that loop was engrossing. And so that was great. You can even, the exploration was really fun too. That's a difference probably between us, is you like to use the guides and walkthroughs and stuff like that for a lot of games. And I try with that, but I want to watch some videos or read up on the systems and understand those, and then just let me go and try to figure it out. And that's what this game I think let me do, is I could explore, and I could, around every turn you might get some EXP for finding a crash site or a mountain or something. You find a thing and you get some EXP for that. You can do some battles and get some more BP and SP. There's fishing sites at everywhere. So, and each place you go, you can catch different fish, and then even the fish you catch, allow you to, the number of different species you catch allows you to get different perks and everything from the some of the NPCs, and that was fantastic. Everything you do matters, and that was great. The battling was really fun, and however, it does feel a little bit automatic. You do all that tinkering and you get your people the way you want them to be. And then it mostly felt like for most battles, you were either more powerful or you weren't. Maybe you get surrounded and you get beat up on, but mostly as long as you had done what you needed to do with items and skill points and BP, then you'd probably do pretty well. But but yeah, and then audio, just great, catchy, beautiful orchestral music, and the audio engineering. I can just remember thinking as I walked towards a waterfall, I heard it getting louder, and the footsteps on different surfaces. All that was great, and then the story was rather engrossing too. I'm more sci-fi leaning than fantasy, so this was right up my alley.
Mhm.
And overall, just a lot of fun. And I do think that in the long run, you should play the final dungeon if you can ever muster the strength, because I'd say that was my favorite part. The
Okay.
a different puzzle, a different something on each floor, much more difficult enemies, great loot. You got people's final forms of their final weapons and final abilities and all that stuff. And it was just a blast. It was the culmination of kind of all the other systems. Because whereas I might not have had to utilize all the battle systems before then to get through this final dungeon, I definitely had to. So I would, I don't, are we ranking things? Do we do things with like a ranking system?
I mean, we can. I mean,
Score?
if you want to, I mean, sure, we totally can.
Do we want to do a score? Is that a thing we'll do?
We can do a score. We're not, preface. We are not gaming journalists. So our scores. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we will turn into gaming journalists. I don't know. But yeah, why not? Let's rank it. You want to do it out of 10?
10 sounds good.
Sure.
So for me, I'd put this at like a 9.5, somewhere in there out of 10. It was that good. Um,
Hell
so
yeah.
yeah, I definitely up there. If I anyway, I've been talking for a bit there. I don't know if we should do more back and forth. So maybe you give your thoughts and then we can keep chatting.
I love hearing one of my dearest humans to me talk about one of my dearest games. Like, are you kidding me? This is so great. Um, and it just goes to show that this remake is, I mean, it is not a port of the original PS1 game, which I still also love, and it's not a port of the PSP version, which I also love. Like this is a ground up total remake, and it made it more accessible to folks who don't have like nostalgic colored glasses on like I do. Um, you know, I check Reddit a lot. I'm in like the Star Ocean Reddit subreddit rather. Um,
Doing
and
fan art.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's just it's just fun to see what people are saying. I don't think I could recommend going back to the original or to the first remaster. Or yeah, I think if someone hasn't played this before, you have to play the remake. There's no reason. There's no reason for me even to go back and play the PS1 or the PSP version ever again, which might be blasphemous to some diehard fans, and that's fine. Some folks really loved the corniness of the minimal voice acting in the PS1 version of it. People are always like, I really like the voice acting in the original PlayStation version. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There was no voice acting outside of being in the battles. That was it. That was it. The cutscenes didn't have voice acting. So it always just makes me chuckle that you're like, you love Claude saying like, that was an 8 out of 10. It's like, you like that voice acting over like an entire cast giving us, like 30 hours of speech? Okay, whatever. Um, but it's
And
just,
as far as voice acting, sorry to cut you off there, but
yeah.
with the voice acting, I know you can pick the old or new music, and then you can pick individual voice actors, can't you?
That
Okay, but
was
does that include the old voice actors, or is that just the new?
so they have the original Japanese actors. They have the PSP Japanese actors from 2009, and then they have the original English actors from 2009. The option to have PS1, well, it wouldn't make sense to have the option for PS1 because again, the cutscenes were not voiced. Um,
So
and
if somebody really liked the old voice actors, they could still even select them.
if someone liked the old Japanese ones, they could select them. Absolutely. Because the this one used the 2009 English recording. They didn't re-record the
Gotcha. Okay.
which
Sorry, I cut you off there.
oh, you're good. Which is totally serviceable. Like some are better than others, and um I will rarely blame the voice actor if something sounds off. It's usually lack of direction. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna blame any of the voice actors if they sound a little corny. Um, but the game is just so streamlined now. One of my favorite new things about it, and this is a tiny thing, I think you and I were talking about it, is I think it's the super specialty bodyguard.
Yeah, yeah.
That's brand new, where you can basically put your other three active party members out on the field with you in charge of running off on their own and touching the green monsters on the world map. So green means that like they're not going to attack you, they're weak, they're not worth getting into a battle. And your other party members go up and touch them, and in like a split second you get all that experience and all that currency added to you. And then if you have all three of them running out, it could be bam bam bam. It's like you just fought three battles and you get all that experience. I that is wildly insane to me that other games don't do something like that. It's really similar to the only thing I can think of it is there are other games that have like an automatic victory button that you can push for some battles. And after playing Star Ocean, I'm like, well, this is kind of their automatic victory where you don't need to fight a trash mob to get 5 XP anymore. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So going forth, like after Star Ocean, I played a couple games that had that victory, that automatic victory button, and I would use that with no shame. After I got to a certain point that I was fighting a trash mob, I was wasting time playing the game, getting into a battle if I could just push the victory button.
The focus on quality of life features and being able to play the game the way somebody wants to play it, fantastic. That was something that was paramount to them. You could tell that some folks want to grind for levels and whatever else.
Yeah.
But some people don't, or maybe it just doesn't quite align. Generally I want to grind a little bit,
Yeah.
but then I want to be leveled for the next battle, and they allow that by doing the bodyguard and scouting and a few different things, chaining the battles together. There was so many ways that you could level up quickly. I wasn't grinding that much, and I went through the final dungeon, and Claude, who was my main character, was, I think I looked at it the other day, 209 is the final
Woo!
level I was at for him. And that wasn't a whole lot of grinding. That was just bodyguard, like you said, and a few different tactics. But yeah,
Yeah, and the thing is, for those who are listening and you're like, well, I really want to grind. Great.
do it.
You can still in this game. It doesn't take away the grind at all. You can still make it as difficult as you want. It's
Hmm.
just for some of us who are pushing 40, I don't have time. I don't have time to,
Oh yeah.
grind for 7 hours and not advance the story. Um, Not that I was really interested in that 30 years ago, even, but I'm definitely not interested in it now.
Yeah.
So
They
yeah,
respect your time in this game.
yeah, it does. The quality of life. I mean, other games that are going to be remade need to look at Star Ocean to see how it was done,
Agreed.
and if the quality of life is not going to be as high value as Star Ocean is, not worth remaking.
Hmm.
Waste of time, honestly. Um, and I think you and I are not the only folks who are coming at this from different perspectives who are calling Star Ocean a remake of a 1998 game, one of our top games in 2023. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's a commentary on the state of gaming or it's just a commentary on how fantastic this game is. Maybe a little bit of both.
Maybe a
Um,
little bit of both, but I think 2023 was a pretty strong gaming year. I just think it's a good game that was remade really, really well.
so well.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of other good games, but I think it stands out because it was redone so well, but also it started from a high place.
And it totally did. Oh, I didn't. I'll give my ranking. So I was thinking about this, and I was gonna try to be fair, but nope, 10 out of 10. Like, absolutely.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't. It's your favorite game ever, right?
I
Or one of them leading up to this.
arguably my favorite between that and Lunar, the Silver Star, which you've not played, and
I have not.
I'll probably make you play it sometime in 2024. There are four different versions, so.
Oh, good. Do I have to play all four?
I mean, I own all four, but whatever. Um,
I would be, upset if you didn't give it a 10 out of 10 in a way, because the remake was so good and it started out as one of your favorite games. So it just, I feel like it had to be, right?
Just perfect. And God, the music. For those who don't know, I am a professional musician. So the music aspect, maybe we'll do a music episode someday.
Let's do it. I am not a professional musician for those who don't know.
The
Anyway.
music in this game was just wild. It was Motoi Sakuraba, and they have done more than just Star Ocean. Like they've done the music for the Dark Souls series, which seems more up your alley than mine. That seems too difficult for me. They've done some of the Tales games, Golden Sun, the Game Boy Advanced series. They've done Mario Golf, Mario Tennis. I think they did one of the Valkyrie profiles, if not all of them, which is another Tri-A Square Enix game that, damn, you should play at some point, Samuel.
Do that
Uh,
too. Add it to the backlog.
I will add it to the, yeah, you and me both. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it before, and you have the option to change from orchestral to the original if you want to.
Mhm.
And for some of those people out there who want to live in nostalgia, switch to the original. That's great. But holy God, the orchestral versions are so good. Um,
It was fantastic.
and
Yeah.
I think you only with the orchestral versions do you get more of that phasing in and phasing out of the volume. I don't think you get that quite as well with the original with the MIDI sounds. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just all in all a fabulous game. Did we use the same party? I don't.
At the end, I think it was close. I think so I had
Who were your agents?
Claude, Raina, Ashton, and then my last one changed some because it was Welch or is it Precise?
Prathis? Yeah.
Yeah, and then Chisato, either of those would I would generally have, and then I never, and then my other ones that I recruited were Celine and Leon, but I didn't really ever use them. So I basically my fourth party member would be whoever had the strongest weapon,
Gotcha.
and the yeah the biggest attack modifier at that point in time.
So we had almost the same party. I didn't get Welch, and I did recruit Noel. So we will talk about we'll call them our gripes that we have with
Our gripes,
each game that we review.
gripes of wrath.
Gripes of Wrath. Yep. So up next is our Gripes of Wrath section. Um, and Star Ocean, the second story R is a perfect gym, so I have no gripes about. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, so if they're gonna remake it another time, what would
Yeah,
you have them
10
do?
years if they remake it again. I mean, these aren't actual gripes that I have because I had a really lovely time playing it. It'd be cool if they could get an updated voice acting. I know that costs money, but if they could update the voice acting, if they were to remake it again, God, they should not remake it again. But it was really cool that those who want to listen to the Japanese audio had two choices, whereas those who wanted to listen in English only had the one choice. So that would have been really cool to have had another English option. Um, Gosh, I wish they would have brought back the rotating 3D models. I'll have to show you this sometime, Sam. On the original item creation, each model was 3D and would rotate.
Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, why did they take that away?
They took it away in the PSP remaster as well, and they just gave you a flat looking image. Fine, it was probably easier to compress that on the PSP, but with a brand new game, I thought it would be pretty cool if we could have had those 3D rotating models. That might be the only. Well, the battle system, I liked the updates a ton from the original version. Uh,
Hmm.
the was it the chain attack? Am I thinking of a? Am I mixing up games? There was a chain attack in this, right?
Yeah, then when you
Yeah,
linked battles together, multiple battles together, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, that was really cool. And so was building up the bonus gauge. There's a thing that if you pushed X at the right time, you could jump behind them. And I feel like as soon as you got 4 people in your party, and as soon as there were like 10 monsters on screen, you didn't have time to push X. Especially if you were at 300% already. If you just didn't push it, then you likely would not get broken. So there was no more benefit to it. Um,
Yes.
it was a cool concept, um,
The
but
dodge, it was a dodge function, I think just
the
dodge.
dodge function, yeah, it was cool on paper. I'm not sure if it totally read how they wanted it to, because I didn't use it very often at all.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Okay, so those are your gripes of wrath.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna look through. I have a 5-page Word document that I made on
Wait,
my review.
wait.
So yeah, just well, it's not all paragraphs. It is largely bullet points that were reminding me of things I wanted to mention, and so I'll kind of just scan through here. I'll mention maybe some good stuff too, even. But let's see. I literally wrote down every one of the specialty skills and those kind of things, and went and wrote down like what they did to remind myself of that.
Oh,
Um,
favorite nerd.
I am a big time nerd. But let's see. So I think a gripe might be so with the some of the skills, I do like them. I think they did a fantastic job with compared to when I tried to do First Departure and I just was so lost on okay, which ones am I trying to upgrade in order to get which specialty and which super specialty? That is very streamlined here. You're capable of seeing what it takes to get the next specialty and super specialty, and then what it takes to get to the next level. That is fantastic. That is a quality of life that is welcomed and really made it less daunting and so much more approachable. I still think it's a little daunting. And it's like, why? There was customization, crafting, and blacksmithing, which all allow you to craft weapons, necklaces, rings, shields. It's like, can't there maybe just be one thing for crafting weapons, shields, whatever? And then that just seemed like, why are there three? But maybe there needs to be different tiers or something for if it's a super specialty or whatever else. That still seemed a little clunky to me because it
Yeah.
just made it so complex. And and then there were systems that I didn't even use. The game is so deep, which is a positive. Um, but they were so many that sometimes I didn't find myself using them as much. And also, you didn't necessarily need to if you use some of the other systems, like the remaking super specialty. I think is so cool that you can add. What do they call them? They call them
Yeah.
effects and factors. So you get two different things. You can get effects and factors that you just different buffs you can add, which I think were awesome. It's a little tough. You put pieces together and then it increases the support or the attack or the whatever, and then it's just RNG for what you get. And so I did it a little bit and I messed with it a little bit, but then it was so hard to predict what you were going to get, and it wasn't necessary. I didn't need it to beat them that I didn't use it as much. So um, whereas on the forging one, the blacksmithing one, I think they did a really good job of if you were trying to make a really strong one, sometimes it would show the item you needed to mix it with in gold or something that you needed combined. And then you know that would get you to a more powerful weapon. But with remaking, they should probably just say, okay, if you mix these things together, if you get the bar up to this, then it'll have a this percentage chance of this good factor. So maybe some RNG, but maybe a little bit more streamlined.
Yeah.
I'm talking probably too much here,
Yeah.
but this is
Give
our.
us one more gripe of wrath.
Oh, can I actually let me do no more gripes? Let me just well, actually, no, I'll do one more gripe and then I'll do a good thing. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. This is more of a funny gripe. We talked about this before. It is a seven, so spoilers and stuff, but Need is a 7 billion-year-old super powerful civilization which I love some of the Star Trek and moralistic aspects of it. Like they locked themselves away because they were too powerful. They had to keep themselves from the galaxy or they would destroy it. Great. Loved it. They still use a flying rocket lizard and a giant shark whale to maneuver through the world. Okay,
I was thinking,
What? You
I
can
was thinking about that.
manipulate time and space,
No, I was
and
thinking.
you are and you are 7 billion years old, and you fly around on animals and go through and don't have submarines, but you have a whale shark
And
that
you
you
know why?
use.
You know why? Because they're really eco-friendly. They're so green. They're so green. That is the reasoning. That is my head canon, and you can't
Yeah, it
that
makes
wrong.
total sense. You have spaceships, but then on your world, you're just gonna use a rocket lizard.
You're just gonna use
Yeah.
the rocket lizard. And there's
the
nothing
the
about rocket out there.
Synard or whatever it was called.
Yeah,
So that one was a gripe, but a funny gripe. And then the last good thing I'll say, I'll end with a compliment sandwich here. Good thing, bunny call.
oh
The
my god,
bunny. We didn't
oh my
talk about
god,
the bunny. So great,
so great, so much fun.
so much fun, so great. The song hits when you're bouncing around on the bunny. So for those the uninitiated, you can traverse the world with a bunny that you can ride on. So it's similar to Star Ocean's Chocobo, I guess. The bunny would be kind of akin to the Chocobo in
Final
Final
Fantasy.
Fantasy, almost right.
I
Yeah,
think
like
so. Not
some
nearly,
sort of
not as iconic.
not as iconic, sure, but it's there. Yeah. So this bunny that you can go around on, and it is great. It allows you to. It's totally does not even consider elevation, so you can go searching around for more chests and more things. And the song is great. And then the other thing that I just loved, it doesn't make any sense, but it's just another reason why the game was so much fun and joyous, is that normally when you upgrade an ability to a higher level, it increases your percentage chance of something,
Mhm.
commonly of succeeding on combining materials to make something else, or succeeding on XYZ. And but generally there's a downside to it. You would lose those materials if you didn't succeed. For the bunny call, as you level up, you do have a higher percentage chance of getting the bunny to
Mhm.
show up, but there's no downside
Zero
of
downside.
not getting. You just have to call the bunny again, and so your characters each give these great fun bunny calls, and then it either says the bunny doesn't like you if it doesn't show up, or a bunny has arrived.
Yep.
And it was so hilarious. I was cackling, laughing out loud the first time I saw that, and I was like, it was the flip from why in the world is it a percentage chance if there's no downside to nope, love it, don't care, fantastic, no, yeah, no notes, move on.
No, no,
Bunny, bunny for the win. I love it.
no notes. I think we just got rewarded to hear them say, "Come on, bunny."
Come on, buddy. Hey, oh, bunny.
Hey, oh, bunny.
It's so good. It is so good. Just fun. That's why the game is just fun. Okay, so sorry, I know I probably talked too much, but like I said, I took 5 pages of notes on what I would say about the game.
And that's why you're my favorite nerd. I think that we should wrap up the episode by saying what we're playing right now. And since these will be monthly episodes, there's a good chance that every time we say what we're playing, it'll likely be a different game at that point. Not always.
Hopefully, but maybe not.
Hopefully, it might be a really long game if not. So Sam, what game are you playing right now, and on what system?
So yeah, so I guess I'm playing a couple, but
Yeah.
the main one that I'm playing on Switch is Fire Emblem Engage. I think I mentioned that earlier on, that I started Fire Emblem Engage,
Fun.
and it is great. I found myself a month or two ago, I heard the Fire Emblem Three Houses music again, and it was like it just made me want to jump into that again. And so here I am. After watching, probably 8 strategy tips and tricks YouTube videos on Fire Emblem Engage, I have started, and it is a blast. So,
Good job.
scratching that strategy RPG itch. I haven't played one of those in a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, what are you playing?
I am playing for the first time ever Final Fantasy 13 on the Steam Deck. I just started that yesterday. So,
Mm.
yeah, I've never played it before. Like the running joke with our group of friends is that like I'm a JRPG nerd and I've played like all the Final Fantasies. Well, jokes on you all. I haven't. I've played maybe half of them, maybe if that. So this is fun so far. I'm like maybe 5 hours into it. I think people called it like a hallway simulator for the first half of the game, but I'm not upset with it. It's really pretty looking. The battle system doesn't give me anxiety, so those are all wins in my book.
Yeah. It's
So
not too, there's not too many bits. There's not too many pixels.
no. There's not too many, right? It does look rather new. I guess that's okay. Um,
Sorry, that was a low blow.
that's fine. It's fine. I am also casually playing 8-bit adventure, so I'm
You're
getting
making up for it.
I'm making up for it with playing a game that is supposed to look like it's a super or a regular Nintendo game rather.
Well, that's cool. Well, very
Yeah.
good. Well,
Well,
fun.
I think that wraps up our first episode of Turn-Based Besties. We'll be back. What is it, December? We'll be back in January with an
In the
all
new year,
episode. And I don't know what we're talking about yet, but we'll figure it out as we do this thing together.
we are doing it. That's right. And yeah, so until the new year, I guess. And when everything in the world is pointing you to go right, maybe go left. See what you find.
My name's DJ.
And I'm Sam.
This is Turn Based Besties, and we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye bye.